Hello, it's John. So I'm not driving. Like, no hands. Look, no hands. I've never done a video like this, so I wanted to share it in this way. It's very hot here in Scotland. I'd like to talk to you today about abundance and our relationship with abundance. And first of all, some of the terms and programmings, especially the Western culture and programs and even religious experiences that I've had in my life, that I'd like to talk a bit about the definition of abundance to help really open up the spectrum, not just to be about money, because life is more than just money. So the first aspect of the definition of abundance for me is well, this is the abundance of time and energy, happiness and health. They're huge for me. My happiness and health are right up there. And it's because I feel that I need a happy, healthy body to be able to receive joyful experiences. And for me, abundance is also relationships, a partnership. I'm very blessed to have a happy marriage and beautiful children. So blessed to have a relationship with them. And I've also, in terms of abundance, I also feel that living in a place where I feel safe, abundance of places to go and adventures, even if it's just outside my front door for a short walk. These are hugely important, and that money is also an abundance. Money, feeling abundant in money, and I feel it right here in my solar plexus, is so important, because when we're feeling abundant with our money, it's in parts one less thing to worry about. But the kind of traditional way of looking at money you would say, oh, it also allows you to do all these other things. And that last part in particular, I've learned that I really no longer believe in or agree with. I do not feel that it's money that allows me to have abundance for all these things, but more that money is part of all abundance. And if anything, it's the other way around, that it's actually me, ironically, after living my life in, I was, until just last year, until May last year, I was a senior manager at Amazon doing software and AI, and I'd had 26 years in software engineering. I had a great salary. Previous jobs to that were CTO, chief technical officers for a couple of companies. Prior to that, I'd been, managers or senior managers, and I'd started out as a software developer, so I'd known from a very low salary. In fact, it was arguably below what we'd now have as a minimum wage when I first started out my career. And before that, I was unemployed for 7 months. I had no job, and I was living on benefits just after I left university. There was those are some of them, especially when I had the least money, have shaped my life the most. And I've never forgotten those moments when, I didn't have like an extra pound, an extra dollar that year. That week would have made a huge difference, or that 2 weeks made a huge difference to my life. And so I hugely value money, and I didn't start my life with abundance of money from my family or anything. I didn't inherit anything, and yet I do feel that I've always felt very blessed through my journey, and I've always felt very supported. So the way I feel about abundance now is because I used to chase job title, salary, or just, the money. It didn't need to be a salary. It could be like money and shares or bonuses, whatever. A car, I used to see that as abundance. A big house, I used to see that as abundance. Going on a big expensive holidays, I saw that as abundance. And all of these tightly coupled with money. And that during those years, especially I feel somewhere between about 2010 and 2017, during that time frame in particular, I was reaching the higher points of that software engineering career, and I was obsessed about those material things, and I became it became a greed, and a greed that was trying to fill an unhappiness inside of me that I hadn't yet identified. It was a fear of lack. I just wanted to make use of this feature where the camera follows your face, even though I have glasses on, sunglasses. Yeah, so I really felt that, but I just felt this unhappiness. I felt like, I'd stopped doing music, I'd stopped doing many things in my life. And then, so I left that, right? I left that corporate job. First of all, I went part-time, and I found that fascinating for 2 years. I'm not going to skip out that lesson, because that lesson I learned about going part-time is I took a 40% reduction in my salary as the main wage earner. And it started to leave it as in a position where I felt, you know what? I don't really want a 6-bedroom house where I'm paying a large mortgage on 2 rooms, for example, we didn't even use, but I'd still go in them every week, polish them, hoover them, do a bit of cleaning, tidy them up. We never used them. I was like, this is just, I'm working so hard, and I felt trapped in a job. And I'd created all these teams that I managed. I'd built them up since I joined the company in 2016. So I literally created this reality, this whole empire around me, and then I felt sickened with it, and they were paying me loads of money, and I just felt so unhappy, and I was burning out, and I was burning out fast. And so if we move on to the topic of, what do you really need? Because it's the funniest question to challenge yourself with. I did an earlier video about the aspects of what was I going to say? Not how much money you earn or how much money you need. I was more talking about these situations. I'm not sure what Patch is doing. These situations where we find ourselves. Oh yeah, asking yourselves, like, what have I become? Am I happy with what I've become? And you can ask your heart this. You place your hand on your heart and say, heart, how do I feel about who I have become? Oh, hello, Patch. Patch has jumped up over here. Can we see him? Will it turn? Let's see if it'll move around. This is good practice for me. There we go. Hello, Patch. Patchy. Say hello on camera. Oh, there he is. Hello. It's tracking me. This is great. He might bark. Knowing Patch, he will. Oh look, the camera's like trying to keep him in shot now. It's the Patch and Jon cam. Yeah, so depending on what the answer is that you receive from your heart, if you feel that there's a lot of goodness in who you've become, how you feel about that, if it's a joyous, happy feeling, then fantastic. If it's not so happy, perhaps face some of those feelings, those fears. Ask your heart, what are they? Why do I feel what are the elements of me, the aspects of me that I feel unhappy about, that I'm not so happy about what I've become, because I wasn't happy that I'd become a senior manager, earning lots of money, chasing big houses, cars, and job titles, when there was something massive missing. I've got no one else to blame, right? It was me and my journey alone. So when I went part-time, I started to realize it's not how much money I earn, it's how much money I spend is more of a problem. And I feel there's a sound bite in there somewhere, right? A quote to say, you know, it's not, it's really similar. It's like being in a camper van where I am just now, where people ask, you know, they'll ask, how much solar energy do I need? How much battery capacity do I need? It's not that, it's how much you're going to use, right? How much money are you going to spend? And that's so important, because you could live in a camper van, or maybe in a tent, or you could build your own house in some remote area of some wooded land somewhere in the world, whether it was legal or not. And you could find yourself in a position where you don't need any money, right? Because this world was not founded on money. It's existed for billions of years without money, and many, you know, billions of beings have thrived on Earth, including civilizations without money. It's funny to say these things, right? Patch doesn't need money. Well, I mean, I guess he could go and hunt rabbits, and I think that's really what he was bred for, in smaller animals. But he would struggle now. He just has one tooth, or maybe two teeth. And I also a shout out to my friend Nova for inspiring me to talk a bit about this core wounding we have about abundance. Is that I feel we could all benefit, including myself, from asking ourselves more about what does abundance mean to us. You know, of these things that are big in your life: family, friends, loved ones, joys, passions, creativity, relationships, you know, the job, the work you do, the money, it's just a wide range of things that you can feel. There's no limits to what you can feel abundance in, but we all get to choose of these things. What are they? You know, what are the things that really make you feel invigorated and happy, and give you, you know, your ever increasing happiness and joy and fulfillment in your life. The other aspect of this is the domain I'm in now, the kind of spiritual domain, if you like, as the industry could be labelled, is that a lot of people in this industry talk about abundance, right? And so, you know, it's easy for me to come on. Patch has disappeared now. It's easy for me to come on a video like this and, you know, how do you describe it? Like, hate on the rich. You know, say, you know, oh, it's bad to be rich, and yet someone that considers themselves rich, they may not talk about abundance, right? You can have, and it's true, you can have a lot of money in your account and still be deeply unhappy, still have all the same core wounds, all the same you know, challenges that you need to face. And in fact, some people experience, because I've experienced it before, of having lots of money in your account and that never being enough. So these are big considerations to feel into, concepts to feel into. Are you a good boy, Patch? I wonder if he's going to bark at the people next to us. I hope not. You're going to be a good boy, aren't you? You can be nice to our neighbours. And I wanted to thank my friend Nova, because what she helped bring me back to as well was my own relationship with money. And one thing I did recently in my weekly newsletter is explain a bit more about my company, the company of one, Jon, and how my business is going really well, and that it's very abundant. And so I feel very blessed to, you know, for the income. And is if you read my website and look at on the homepage, it says learn more, or learn more about Jon, and in there I talk about the mission that I'm on to help support people through their awakenings, help support and balance darkness and light across the planet. And I also talk a bit about abundance, and I would talk about filling my cup first and the balance between my joy and happiness and self-care and self-love and the rest of my abundance, the financial side. And there were so many decisions I could have made on this journey, even if I just talk about the first year, where that would have earned me more money. And I'm not trying to say that like I'm some sort of saint, right? I'm not, right? I'm trying to authentically and transparently share my journey and also my decisions, my conscious decisions, and be really clear about what I've consciously decided and what I've been doing on the journey. And the really fascinating thing is that, now I got to the stage where my company's registering for VAT in the UK. It's value added tax. So now I have to pay another, it depends on the registration, but between about 16 and 20% of all of the income has to now go to the government. And my initial reaction to that was not to increase my prices for at least as long as I can. And the reason I talk about it at all, in all honesty, is because by law I have to put it on my prices. So at very least I had to say in a weekly newsletter something like, hey, I'm going to start charging, I'm going to start saying, including or inc VAT on all my prices. Because I have to, regardless of what country you're in, it's something that you have to do in the UK. But the short of it is that the income had reached a threshold where I have to advertise this. And the opposite of that, I've seen many people in these spiritual industries or coaching industries, self-improvement industries, brag about how much they've earned and say, look at my business, and often there's two numbers that often hear. One is earning the 10K a month, and then another one is the 100K a year, or 200K a year, or 300K, or whatever they say, or multi six-figure. And in my head, I'm always like counting up the numbers. What does that mean? And what I really feel at the heart of all this is, because I'm not that person, right? I'm not. There may be a time that I share some of my numbers, but it's been such a big part of my journey to really focus on the full aspect. I know that I would be so unhappy if I just earned lots of money and that was it. I had no time for my family, friends, loved ones, adventures, my passions, all these things. If I didn't have health, happiness and energy for those things, but I had loads of money, I'd just be deeply unhappy. And there's been a couple of times on my journey of my business over the last year where my wife has said, are you sure you want to earn that much? This journey was always about us having fabulous fun, freedom and flexibility, not just the finances. And just feel, and it's hard because I remember I would say to my wife, okay, so how much money do we need to earn a month? And it's such a ridiculously simple, logical question, and yet with my heart I knew, and my wife is very similar, we just can, it's still something we continually feel into, and so you may notice I also devote a lot of my week, 4 hours of live streams plus 1 hour of free classes, or the super low cost quantum psychic practice sessions, podcasts, and I also do sessions for people, especially when I'm starting new services that are free of charge. It's a lot of work each week, for free, at least in the short term, and I feel so blessed to be able to do that. I'm not asking. I don't want you to feel this is in any way me saying, "Oh, look, I'm so good because I did all this free stuff." I'll make no bones about it. Like this is a huge part of my job and journey is being able to, you know, give, offer my range of services to people from a wide range of what would you call it, financial capabilities, and I feel really blessed to be able to do a lot of free work as well. So, or you know, pro bono work, it would be described in other industries. And I feel that now, you know, if I talk about, you remember right at the beginning I was saying I disagreed with this notion that money pays for all the happiness in your life, and because I feel it's really the other way around. I could do this with the camera. It's the other way around. It's so much fun. Other way around. So we have on one side, you know, our family, friends, loved ones, and maybe you don't have many of those in your life, but you know, or your pets, or your plants, or you know, those people that are closest to you and that you love the most. Spending time with them, having happiness and health, these are really the things that drive that drive a business. And I learned, it took me quite a long time. I would say about my first year, I'm now 14 and a half months into my business. Definitely the first 10 to 12 months for sure. I began to realize that it is these moments, is the moments of joy and doing things I love. It's for me, it's the camping and walks in nature and spending time with my family and my loved ones and Patch, like and being able to talk to you guys like this, and I hope you feel my energy. I hope you feel my joy and my love and open-heartedness. That this is what fuels my business. And so, because I love it, because you guys often say to me, oh, I love it when you're walking in the woods. I love it when you're, you know, when you visit these different places around Scotland, around the UK, like I was in Cornwall and Orkney and Orkney Islands up north and loads of different places. And there's just more to come. And I just feel so blessed that I can do these things and that you love it. And it's this beautiful flywheel, right, where you comment lovely, happy comments on my videos, and I am inspired to do more of the things I love. I love doing this. It's such fun. And my family love it as well. They love the change in me. They keep talking about how I'm living my dream life. And yeah, there's some long days sometimes, you know. Just Tuesday this week was a really long day. 11, 12 hours. Wednesday and Thursday were much better. And there's just there's much more of a flow to my life. And it's a flow that I don't seek to, you know, grip onto and control. It's more that I'm just continually allowing it to evolve. And I know that as long as I get plenty of rest and joy and creativity, that this abundance creates abundance financially. And you know, we just bought a motorhome, or we pick up the new motorhome in 2 weeks' time. And you know, yes, all our personal finances are personal and private to us, and yet I do feel overall, you know, a lot of it's about, especially when you're running your own business, a lot of it's about your own confidence. Do you feel confident about the long and abundant about the short, medium and long term of what you're doing? And the short answer is, for me, yes. I feel that I could likely be doing this into my 90s. I won't be doing quite as much singing, dancing, nature walks maybe into my 90s, but and beyond. But I definitely still be doing some of it. excuse me. And on that journey, I hope also helping others reconnect with their hearts. If you ever wonder why my business, I called it Heart Centered Wellness Limited, is because of that. I always want to keep going back to my heart. And you know, you get to watch this video and you get to make up your own mind about what you want in your life. And at very least, I hope you find this video helpful for you to be able to reflect on what you want out of your life. Woo! What you want out of your life. And what brings you joy and happiness. Because I can't tell you that, right? I can't tell you what's going to make you happy. I can tell you that what worked for me was exploring the things that brought me a lot of happiness when I was a child. I was visiting my mother today, and we spoke about, you know, I've always been a morning person since an early kid. I always loved going to different places. I was always busy creating stuff as I went to different places, including Orkney when I was a teenager, the Orkney Islands and Shetland Islands up in the north of Scotland. And it's just so wonderful to, you know, continue this exploration of what brings me joy. And I'm also totally relaxed about my income, you know, going up and down. And the more, Patch is rolling around in the back of the van. He's having a lot of fun. Yeah, I do really feel that so much of my life now is about this exploration. I don't like, our new motorhome's exactly the same size as this one, well, just very slightly wider. I don't want a bigger home. I don't want a bigger motorhome. I don't want, you know, we're selling our caravan and camper van. Like, if anything, I'm seeking simplicity. You know, we'll have a caravan, and a caravan will simplify just down to a motorhome. And this is really powerful for me because I feel that the less I have, the less things I have in my life, the less complexity I have in my life, the greater the simplicity, the more joy I have, and and more flexibility I have. Like, I love doing this. I don't see this as work. If anything, this is largely public therapy, right? Where I'm talking to you and you're sat with me here. Hello, how's it going? And it was really lovely. Just earlier, I was walking Patch here, and someone beat their horn at me, not because I was in the way, and they waved at me, and said hello, and I was like, I was like smiling and saying hello. I was just like, they said, "Hi John, how are you? Lovely weather, isn't it?" And I couldn't quite place who it is. I think it's a client. So if you're watching this, it isn't. We are in the town Haddington, where I was doing events and treatments every Tuesday. So if you're a client, apologies I didn't recognize you. I kind of feel like I recognize your face as being a client, and so it's lovely to say hello to you. So yeah, it's you know, it's also fun. People, you know, I've lived 48 years with not being famous, and I'm cool with people recognize me and saying hello. If you do recognize me, it's not like I'm like the most famous person in the world, and right now it's not like I have like the biggest YouTube channel in the world or anything, but it's a lot of fun to you know, I love the fact that it helps integrate these aspects of my life. And in part, that's why I wanted to do this video sat in a vehicle, is I feel that a huge part of this journey of abundance is never becoming ungrounded, never losing sight of all the things that are important to me, and never forgetting where I came from, and always being clear, having clarity about what is it I want out of the future of my life. Because this, you know, journey of simplicity and kind of right-sizing my life, right-sizing my financial income for the life I lead, is really, really important. And it's, you know, I've been reflecting that more and more in my business, and I'll continue to reflect on that more, including giving away these premium, like making premium meditations, free of charge for people. It feels really good to do. It feels so abundant for me to be able to give without everything having to be a transaction every time. And it fills me with such joy to hear about how those things help other people. So I do feel that, I'd love to know your reflections in your life. For those people I see, especially people that have chosen to retire, and often at any age, and some people choose never to retire, is, perhaps you'd like to tell me in the comments, what does abundance mean to you? Is it your happiness, health, time with your loved ones? Is money your first choice? Maybe if you could choose the top 3, 4, 5 things that you consider the most important abundance in your life, what would they be? And you may, we didn't really talk about it much in this video, but a big part of abundance for me as well is the happiness of the planet and the sustainability of the planet, and moving out of this paradigm of fear, shame, division in the human race, and stepping more into equality, compassion, unconditional love, abundance for all. And I don't feel in competition with anybody. I feel more that we all have the opportunity to seek our own unique abundance and choose what it means for us, and celebrate each other for those choices that we make, because our uniqueness is what makes us so incredible as humans, right? And it's our uniqueness to be celebrated. Sorry, that's an alarm clock I'm not going to be able to turn off. It's in the back of the camper van, and it just, every now and again, it just goes off. It might be the sunshine triggering it. It will stop. The other important, the message I was trying to say was that even if I was abundant in all the areas I discussed, if the world was an unhappy place to live, I would feel bad about that. Not guilty that I was in abundance and the rest of the world wasn't. More that I hadn't done more to help the rest of the world. And so for me, that's why it's such a huge part of my mission, is also is helping people. I see this natural tension in my mission, which is Jon Binnie and his happy life and abundance, and then also my mission. And so you might see me, doing things like, seeking more subscribers on my YouTube channel, to reach more people, having more people sign up for free meditations. It's not because I'm trying to get them to book sessions with me. I just need enough of those to have abundance in my life. It's what I'm trying to do is reach as many people as possible. And that's why I really love some of this recent shift in my work, where I'm creating more YouTube content and more longer videos on subjects that are so deep, deep rooted and dear to my heart. And I hope that when you come across them, it helps you on your journey, that you resonate with some of it, or at very least it gives you some entertainment. And that I love being able to, in my mission, be able to reach more people. And if all I can do is bring a smile to your face by doing this over here and over here, or making my beep boop noises, or if I can give you, a bit of a smile and help raise your vibes on the topics that we talk about, and just help getting you feeling into more like what's really important to you in your life, and encouraging you to make choices, sometimes really, really hard choices, right? And I remember just February this year, I visited my teams at Amazon, who had left, just coming up a year prior to that. And they had said they were worried for me. They were worried they really hoped for the best, that I would enjoy my new, meditation, energy healing, music, reflexology, whatever it is that they felt that I was doing, or that they remembered from what I told them. They really worried that I wouldn't experience abundance, and so it was such a blessing to be able to go back and say, I do feel abundance. I feel abundant. And they of course they were, I know their salaries of many of them, and I know that a lot of them struggled with the fact that they had to go and work in the office full time, that the work's really hard, that they've had challenges with changes and organizational changes, and some worried about job security. And I'm sure these themes are common for many people around the world. And yet, I'm really glad I made my choice to leave that. But not everyone needs to leave their jobs. I don't feel that that's true, but I do feel that we'll all be challenged with, at very least, helping influence the direction of our companies that we work for, the managers that we work for. And wouldn't that be a lovely conversation to have with your manager about what you feel abundance is in your life? Imagine sitting down with your manager and saying, abundance for me is being able to finish at 5 p.m. instead of 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. in a 9-to-5 job, a 9-to-5 job in quotes. Or it might be, abundance for me might be having, regular feedback. Perhaps you could give me weekly feedback on my performance, and that I could also give you feedback about your performance as a manager. And it might be, being able to drop your kids off at school, or to pick them up from school, or take your kids' birthdays off, or whatever it is that you decide for your abundance. Imagine having that conversation with your manager. And it's not just at a personal level, as well as I mentioned, at a planetary level, as a human race level. I do genuinely feel there's more than enough abundance for all of us on this planet. And our journey to getting to that stage, or returning back to sustainable civilizations on Earth, is we need to come back to our hearts. We need to come all the way back. All the answers are inside of us, right? We were born, it's flesh and blood, on this planet, with enough abundance to eat, and we just lost our way, right? We became disconnected. We got stuck in our heads. And we're all coming back to our hearts, whatever we choose to do, wherever we choose to live, however we choose to live. There's no judgment. And I do feel that, at very least, asking these questions of ourselves about what's really important in our lives will help us bring us back to, it's a journey, right? None of this is going to change overnight. It is a journey for us to return to. And it could be a whole other video I could do about influencing companies while you're there, because I did have some influence at Amazon before I left. I do feel, though, I made a choice to leave. I felt there was never going to be a Jon Binnie spiritual mentor job role at that company, and that's what I wanted to do. I wear t-shirts and hoodies that say Jon Binnie because I just want to be me. I want to be the whole me. Just like my meditation message today was allow me to be the full me. I feel that's so powerful and so important, because I can say what I want, do whatever I want, go wherever I want, do what I want, right? And that freedom is such abundance and such a luxury to have. But I did meet people in the company that are keen to change the company, and I see that as so admirable. It is inspiring to see people staying at a company and wanting to change it from within, because this is how this is never going to grow old for me. This is how the world will change. We're beginning to hold ourselves, and therefore the companies we work for, to greater accountability. And even the companies we buy from and the people that we follow or subscribe to, when we truly hold ourselves accountable for all these things, we realize there's a continued journey for improvement for us all. And you can see in my life, not everything's perfect. I don't drive around in a tree, or a bicycle or something. I drive a fossil fuel vehicle, and I know you could get biodiesel and all these things, but I want to acknowledge that for this part of my journey where I'm still very much in, it feels important to be integral within, feet on the ground, still part of this 3D paradigm. And so although I left my job in that 3D paradigm, I've not left the life within it, right? Of course I have visions of living in a treehouse, or at top of a mountain, or a wooden cabin or something. And yet what's so important to me is to still be relatable to people. I still pay bills, taxes, have many challenges that many other people do. It is still a very abundant life. I absolutely acknowledge that and are very grateful for it. And yet I do feel that the more we can connect with our hearts and ask ourselves how we feel about all of this, how do we feel about all the things we have in our lives, the more we can reflect on, okay, how can we continue to let go what doesn't serve us and bring in what does, attract and what does serve our highest good. And had I sticked around, and I'm not just picking on one company, but any of the companies that I previously worked for, is about 10 before I left the industry, 10 different companies, I would have, there was definitely times, especially as I was working my way up through the company, where I could have had more influence for the greater good. And even if it's just directly the teams that worked, that I worked with, I try not to use the term worked for me anymore, and I definitely saw myself latterly as a subservient leader, doing my very best to serve my teams to do their jobs as best they can, to empower them to do the jobs they can as best they can. So these aspects are just so powerful and so important to me that we all continue to open up our hearts and imagine a new world. Imagine a new world where, imagine this whole world woke up tomorrow morning and said, my abundance is my fabulous fun, freedom, flow, family, friends, and my finances are just part of that. They're on balance, all things being equal, they're part of it. And what would we change as a planet? Would it help us with our wounding, with greed and our fear of lack and not having enough, and trying to make money out of each other? And would it help us, not get so triggered when we see some people earning more money than others? It does feel that it's a controversial subject, and I feel like I've said a lot for 45 minutes as my wife and daughter are shopping in the supermarket next to us. But it is a lot of fun chatting with you, and I also know to end this video on gratitude. So thank you so much. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you for supporting me through my journey. Every time you view a video, every time you like a video, every time you comment a video, every time you book a session, every time you join one of my free meditations, every time you're you're thinking of me and Patch and my family, even at an energetic level, is so powerful and so beautiful. So thank you. And it's an honor. It's an honor to be sat here, being this version of me that, you know, face all those fears of lack and push too hard and so many things, you know, including my darkest hours of my deepest, darkest shadow work in 2023 of, you know, pushing too hard with all my psychic work and then burning myself out. And, you know, this work is risky. You know, some of this work I do, especially the negative energy and entity and soul retrieval and exorcism work I do, which I don't talk as much about publicly, but it is a service I offer. It is hugely risky, and I go through sometimes days of what is, you know, experiencing. I can only describe it as depression. You know, that level of shameful emotions, deep down, low vibration emotions after these sessions. And I know the risks, and it's the work. It's actually how I started out doing this quantum psychic healing work, is doing those, milder versions of those sessions. And it's an honor to be able to help people when there's really nowhere else that they can go. And I'm grateful for that work too. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to help people, and so grateful for them, for the, you know, for everyone, for your bookings and your support. So thank you. And yeah, that's me. If you've stuck with me all the way through this, well done. Not just my journey, this video as well. It's a lot of fun sharing with you, and I really am excited about seeing the continued transformations in the planet. And I know we've still got a lot of triggering moments, especially with our world leaders and their and the CEOs of big companies and organizations. And, you know, they're scared of us. They're scared of us going through awakenings about money, right? It's hard to keep control of us when, first of all, we reconnect to our hearts and we open our hearts. And then secondly, if we no longer have the same fear or lack or greed about money, and instead we're, you know, or we expand that beyond just money, and it's all of the things, you know, abundance is all aspects of our lives, then we can really start to heal, right, as a human race. And we can start to revolutionize the way we, you know, talk to ourselves about money, talk to each other about money. And we can feel comfortable. You know, imagine a world where people were able to talk freely about the money. I mean, right now I don't really feel comfortable about sharing specific numbers, because I feel it'll be triggering to people. We're not quite healed yet, but I would tell you numbers like, you know, how many hours I worked in a week, and I'd tell you the number of friends I have. Not many. you guys, you're my friends, and you're growing every day. So thank you. And also how many family members we have. Like, it's so funny. We talk about all these aspects of abundance, and yet money, when we share it, we trigger people a lot. So yeah, it's exciting to feel into that and feel a far more transparent, fun, free, fabulous future, including financially, all those F's. Well, thank you so much for watching. I kind of don't want this video to stop because it's just so much fun chatting away, but I will need to stop, and I'd like to thank you so much. And oh, here's my wife and daughter, perfect timing. I feel like I'm padding until they're here. Yeah, I'll be back with more more content as always, so please take care of yourselves and each other. Sending so much love from Scotland. Take care, love you.